What is the crack? Welcome back to episode 31 of the What is the Crack podcast. As always, you're joined with me, Phil, and Sam is here as per usual. We had a bit of technical difficulties there, just trying to get one out. It just cut midstream, but look, we're back and we're going to take this one. We're going to take this one from the top, aren't we, Sam? But what
And
we're
again.
here, and again, take two. But what we're here to discuss today was the phenomenal card that was UFC 249. It was just brilliant, and the organizers, the showrunners, Dana White, all involved just need to be thanked by everybody in the MMA community because it was brilliant. And
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, we talked about this a few minutes ago, but we'll go back into it. I mean, it was fucking. It's like I said before. It's nice to see that the MMA journalists were all proven completely and utterly wrong. They have been shitting on this event for weeks and weeks and weeks, talking about how could they do this, the effect it's going to have, etc. I mean, we were both on the fence before, like we said,
we came around to it though. We did come around to it. The more we found out, kind of, the more we were kind of, okay, well, look, it's going to happen. Let's make sure, let's hope for the fighters' sake that it's fair, or not fair, sorry, it's safe and they're handling it. But honestly, bar one slip up with Jacare Souza, who tested positive.
Can you even call it a slip up? Because they caught it, they
Yeah.
isolated him, they did what they needed to do.
They did everything they could. He was completely asymptomatic, but him and two of his team tested positive for COVID-19. So obviously, we wish them a speedy recovery. For everybody else on the card, it was negative tests returned. They were kept apart. Everybody done well. I know there was a bit of hoopla about people fist bumping and stuff like that. They were all negative. It was all good. And to be honest, the UFC couldn't have handled it any better. And organizations like other sporting organizations like the Premier League, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, the NFL, they should all look to what the UFC did with this card and how we can safely bring a return to sports, because especially with all the people who tuned in for the first time to watch the card, everybody wants live sport. We just want, people are bored at home. We can safely, there's a blueprint to safely bring it back. So
I think we're starting to see that now, and I think, I've just heard from someone else through other, means of social media that I think sport's going to be back over here from the 1st of June, and it looks it looks like they're following suit from things like the UFC, where they can see the precedent that's been set, and they go, right, well, we can do this, we can do that. I mean, like football, for example, what have we got to do? Got to test all the players that go there. So what? 32 players, including the
do
subs.
it behind closed doors, coach and staff.
Yeah, coaches. So you're looking at testing maybe 100 people on match day, tops. I mean, literally tops 100 people.
Yeah,
and
they have the money to do that and the facilities.
I mean, the Premier League and stuff like that do. The lower leagues maybe not.
Yeah,
but that's where the football league should intervene, because they have enough money where they should intervene and say, right, okay, well, if this is for the good of everyone, let's do this. And I think, it really has shown with, and not just the UFC as well, the WWE and have really been kind of important in showing this as well, that you can get things done even during this crisis. And, I think me and you are starting to realize the crisis isn't as much of a crisis as first thought, but
for 90% of people. But look, at the same time, there is people with underlying medical conditions, people who unfortunately are obese, people who are elderly. That's the majority of people will be okay with this, but again, we're not doctors, so we're not really going to go into that. But that, what you saw kind of on May 9th was a blueprint on how you can safely bring back sport, and I think it needs to be looked at by other sporting organizations. But I suppose we'll get straight into the action. Amazing main event, which we always go top to bottom on this podcast. But Justin Gaethje defeated Tony Ferguson by TKO, round number 5, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Justin Gaethje basically destroyed the lightweight boogeyman. And
I don't think Tony won a round.
no, no,
No.
absolutely not. One thing we have to say from this fight is that Tony Ferguson could take a bullet to the head and keep coming.
The guy, the boogeyman's the right fucking name for him. You know, Al-Kukui, he took shots in that fight that any other fighter just wouldn't have stood their ground. I mean, you look at, yeah, he looks bad now, Tony Ferguson, in the sense his face is swollen a bit and he's cut up, but
Yeah.
you compare that to how Eddie Alvarez looked after their fight. Eddie Alvarez looked like he was, dead. And the same with, I think it was, who was it, Dustin Poirier as well, that he fought and lost against.
Barboza.
Barboza, sorry, yeah. And, it's Gaethje has, since those losses as well, and he still beat up those two opponents, even though he lost on the receiving end.
Yeah.
But he is now matured as a fighter. Like, he never said he was going to, he always said he would never do this. It was always about entertainment. He never wanted to be it was just about getting in there and having fun.
Yeah. But
And
he alluded to
he was
that.
patient. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
his
yeah,
last few performances before that, it was the progression. You could see it. He was
yeah.
starting to be more patient. He was taking his time. And, like, Trevor Whitman in the corner in the middle of this fight said, "What are you doing hitting him 100% all the time? You don't need
That
to
was
do that.
great. That
Yeah,
was
you don't.
great.
You're trying to kill him. You don't need to kill him.
Yeah.
You just need to take 10% off, hit him good, get in and out, and the damage will come. And
Yeah.
eventually, fifth round, fuck me, that's what we saw. It was
Insane.
unbelievable.
And it was a great stoppage by Herb Dean.
Brilliant, yeah.
Possibly should have came maybe a little bit earlier, but there was no
Okay.
quitting Tony. But it was really, it would like, you know how much damage Justin Gaethje did to Tony Ferguson, where you actually saw Tony Ferguson nod, like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm done."
Yeah.
He knew he was done. Also, I know we were speaking in the broadcast just before that unfortunately got cut off, but you were saying it was just the fact with no crowd, you could hear everything. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Perfect.
The noise of the power of Gaethje's punches that were landing on Tony, and Tony just taking it. Honestly, my like I was wincing as if it was me taking those punches at one stage. It was.
It's one of those things where when you like this sport, it's beautiful and difficult to watch at the same time. You're there watching a guy putting on a masterclass, and that's what Justin Gaethje did the other day against a guy that hasn't lost in 8 or 9 years or whatever. It was a 12-fight win streak. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous what he was doing.
It was perfect fight.
It was and Justin Gaethje went in there and just put everything that he's learned over the last 10 years or whatever in the game together and used it. And people can. The thing that bothers me now is we're looking at an age where, in the sport, the moment that you lose, you're done with social media. You're done with the fans. You're done with everything. It's fucking crazy.
Sorry, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, people forget that Tony Ferguson really is the lineal champion before this. He won the title before Khabib, whether it was interim or whatever. They were going to then join. They were going to fight to unify that title. Khabib beat Al Iaquinta for it, who wasn't a champion. Tony was a lineal champion. He was the number one contender for 10 years. The guy he's called the boogeyman for a reason, again, because you look at his two opponents before Justin Gaethje, they stopped on the stool. They were done, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were completely out of the game. And now people go, well, he's always been overrated. He's always been it. No, he hasn't.
Yeah, I know we get we get the hump with MMA Twitter and stuff like that, but really is the most "what have you done for me lately" audience.
It's fucking crazy.
It's frustrating, and to be honest, like, I have my criticisms of Tony Ferguson. I don't. He annoys me. I don't like him when he I don't like his when he tries to trash talk. I think one thing I'll never ever.
Show that he puts on.
Oh, mate. One thing I'll never ever take away from Tony Ferguson is his heart, his skill, and just what he does in the octagon. I'll never ever ever take that away from him. As much as I don't particularly like him, I wouldn't call myself. I'd be a fan of him as a fighter. I wouldn't call myself a fan.
Here's the thing, me and you both picked Gaethje for this fight, right? We knew the holes were there in his game. We knew that Gaethje was tailor made to beat him, and we talked about this on a couple of pods before, but we didn't think it would be like that.
No,
We didn't
no. Well,
think it
what?
would be that dominating.
Well, what did we say? We said Gaethje has 10 minutes, 15 minutes
I think
to
so. Yeah, I think we
to
said
knock him out
yeah,
because obviously, like what Gaethje's alluded to is he listens to his team, and it's been a hard process for him, but he's listening and he's improving. I never expected Gaethje, like when he had Tony Ferguson hurt, to not run in like a wild man, like he
no,
always
yeah.
does, to
I
just
thought
be
that.
so reserved. You're okay, you know. It will come. It will come. You could see him. You could see him
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to himself, like it will come. It will come. Because if he ran in there and started swinging, he'd just gas. And
Listen,
Tony,
Tony could just pull an elbow out of nowhere
but one
or a
thing,
submission out of nowhere, and
of
that'd be game
course,
over. You know,
of
it's
course, yeah. But like, I know I said it on Twitter the other day. Dana White hit the nail on the head for me. Cutting weight twice in 1 month
yeah,
is foolish behaviour. Now he didn't say that. Now I'm saying this: cutting weight twice in the space, and the second weight cut in the
yeah.
space of
In
2 weeks from the
3 weeks,
first.
yeah, 2 3 weeks.
Of course, that's going to affect your performance. Gaethje said, if I done that twice, it's going to seriously affect my performance. Like that's one thing I'd say I'll never take away. Just to go back to what I was saying,
Yeah,
one thing I won't take away from Tony Ferguson's skill set or his heart. One thing I will criticize Tony Ferguson for is his antics.
mm.
Like he's 37, he's not going to cop on, but he needs to cop on. You can't cut weight
Listen,
twice in the month, like, and expect
I
to be at
think
100%.
I think I think at 37 and the way that he's run his camps forever is just that he does it. You know, he runs the camp, he makes it happen. So I think it's very easy to say, oh, his antics are what caused this, but these antics are what caused him to have a 12-fight winning streak and a
Mm,
9 year undefeated run. You know,
yeah,
it's very easy that we're talking about what have you done
it
for your
is.
record.
It's hindsight, isn't it?
It's very easy in hindsight to say, well, you shouldn't have done that, or you shouldn't have. And I'm sure Tony Ferguson's sat there today going, fuck me, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have done, because that's human nature, you know. But reality
Yeah.
is that madman part of him is what made him so good for so long as well.
Mm,
That fucking crazy guy. But I also think, looking at this fight on Saturday, they say that in MMA you age overnight. And it looked a little bit like that for me with Tony Ferguson. It looked a little bit like he'd aged. It looked a little bit like he was just a little bit off the mark, not
yeah.
quite as quick, and not in there. And look, I'm
Well,
again,
but
I'm not going to
like
take it
that
away
could
from
be
him. You know,
a depleted gas tank from cutting from cutting
yeah. I
weight
mean,
twice. You know what I mean?
look, cutting weight
That's
twice
what
is
I'm
fucking
saying. That's what I'm
stupid. You know,
saying. That's what
yeah.
I'm
I look,
saying. Like somebody, I know the his antics make him a madman. I don't agree with all his antics, but his antics got him there and got him his win streak. Eddie Bravo or something would just be like, mate, don't do that. And
there's no stopping him.
no, I think Tony, if you were to, he'll never say it, but I think Tony regrets that. I think Tony cut weight with the fact that the fight was off. So he was just
Yeah,
like, right, I'm going to cut weight because that's in my contract. Then the Gaethje fight was announced, and he was like, oh shit.
shit.
But
Yeah,
like he's gonna
I've made it.
he's gonna have to do it again, isn't he?
Yeah, and the thing is that people don't understand. Like, yeah, okay, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't do all this stuff. You go in the sauna. They think it's just a very simple. But what you're actually doing is you're depleting your entire body when you do this. You are damaging your kidneys, you're damaging your liver, you're damaging every function that your body uses. Your joints get weaker, your core starts to destabilize. Everything. I mean, I went and watched my friend cut weight last year, and he collapsed in the sauna before the. It's not what people think it is. It's not the simple, oh, you diet right, you do this, you do. It's not like that. When you get down to those last few pounds, it is hell. And for Tony Ferguson to do that twice, like you say, in 2 3 week gaps, fuck it, it's ridiculous. But then, if he'd have won, people would have gone, it's just Tony Ferguson, you know.
It is, yeah, yeah, that's
And
very
so,
true.
and so, I kind of see it from both sides. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, in my eyes, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
But what got him where he is by being that fucking stupid. And I can't give him any grief. You know what? He's been at the top of the pile for
no,
so long.
he's a
And
beast.
we talked about this last time. That top four in that lightweight division could all fight each other on any fucking day and win any
Yeah.
fucking given day.
Well,
And just,
that leads it to it. Obviously, for the first time, Gage knows who his next fight is. It's Khabib. We'll see what we'll
yeah,
cross that bridge when we yeah we'll
yeah.
cross that bridge when we come to it. But what's like is McGregor next for Ferguson? Is that the next fight to make, or who's the next fight?
See, I think that's too risky for McGregor, right? So he fights a guy coming off a loss to now the number one contender, and if McGregor loses, where's he in the pile? You know, McGregor
Yeah.
now has to. He needs to either fight Gaethje or Khabib again. And I think what will happen is he'll wait it out as usual. But it's stupid, you know. He looked so good in that Donald Cerrone fight. We're hearing Masvidal. We talked about this last week again. To be honest, I think that's the fight for him. That's Masvidal. You know, the money and everything else. There's no way that it affects his rankings and ability in the
Nah,
lightweight
Connor,
division.
like
No,
rankings don't matter when you bring in
no,
that money. As much as I don't like it, it is what it is.
it is what it is. Fuck it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, yeah. If logically McGregor would be the next fight, but like, yeah, it's probably gonna be Masvidal. But
But
as you said, you age overnight in MMA. Like, I don't think Tony Ferguson will ever be the same after this fight with the
no,
damage he's took.
no.
I like
I
at
don't
one
think anyone
stage
will
his
be.
body is just going to be like enough.
Yeah, I think his body looks like he's had enough already.
Mm.
You know, he's getting that older man physique. Things are starting to look a little bit saggier than they once were, and and he just, it's not his fault. That's time. It catches up to you.
A
It
lot
does
of
what it
time
does.
in it.
But do you know what? I don't care. For me, he was a champ anyway. It doesn't matter whether it was
Yeah,
the 4-1 interim. The UFC stripped him. It was bullshit. They shouldn't have done all that bollocks. They didn't
yeah, it was
strip Carlos
harsh.
Condit for a long time. You know, it's just the business end of this sport is fucking ridiculous sometimes, and that's when it's ridiculous. Tony hasn't been recognized ever as a champ, but he was a fucking champ, and Khabib never beat him. I think it's just all too late, too little, too late, and I think Khabib's team were very smart in waiting for this fight as long as they did, and finding reasons not to have the fight a lot of the time. Like, you know, obviously you can't help Tony tripping over a wire and smashing his knee and doing whatever, but eating tiramisu a week out from a fucking fight, you know,
Yeah,
ridiculous.
look,
But I think they did the right game. But now Ali Abdelaziz is in a wonderful position because both of his fighters are fighting for the title, and he'll get so much money in his back pocket, and the
and
brass of UFC will lick his ring even further.
look, deservedly so.
Yeah,
As much as I don't like Ali Abdiz and everybody has their problems with him, he's fun. He's entertaining. Do you know what I mean? And by all accounts, you know, he does right by his fighters. All his fighters who he manages love him. It
yeah, but
is what it is.
they would,
Yeah. Well,
because
look,
he
he
gets
does
some
it.
money.
He does his job.
Yeah, he does his job. Look, I'm not debating his ability, his job, but it's just funny to me because MMA Twister gets so mad about it after these, and we're
It
kind
is.
of like, well, you know, he's a cunt, but
He is, but
so what? You know,
he's a necessary
you know.
evil in my opinion. But yeah, well, we'll move on to the co-main event of the evening. I've something to
Uh,
say about this in a bit, but
I'll I'll
Henry
let you just go through this. To be honest with you,
Henry Cejudo defeated Dominic Cruz by TKO round number 2, 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Um, say what you want about the stoppage, but it was Cruz's post-fight antics that really, really grinded my gears. Like,
yeah. So before you get into this, I'll just let everyone know that's listening that Cejudo finished Dominic Cruz by TKO in the second round after a vicious knee, and then he followed it up with strikes. Now, in real time,
let's talk about the fight first, and we'll get into it. Right?
yeah, I mean, look, Cejudo looked better than Cruz pretty much the entire fight. You
Cejudo was
know,
phenomenal.
yeah, and
Cejudo was
Cruz,
phenomenal. Cruz couldn't get anything going.
no,
Um,
he might have done it. You know, he was starting to look as though he was coming on in the second round a bit more. I don't know. It is what it is, but I don't think it would have changed the result in any way. After,
no,
you know, I wanted Cruz to win, but I don't think it would have changed anything. To be honest with you, I
I
think it
did.
would have happened.
Look, I did beforehand. I'm not saying I'm off. Like, I'm not saying I hate Dominic Cruz now. I lost a lot of respect for him for what he did after the fight. But look, we'll talk about it now in a minute. But we have to talk about Henry Cejudo's retirement. That
Yeah.
that man's leaving the game on top. And in my opinion, what he has done, like he saved the flyweight division,
Hmm.
and what he's done, love him or hate him, king of cringe, who gives a bollocks, that man should be respected. But it's going to take, in my opinion, people won't talk about all the good he's done for years, like
I, I
because
don't
the
think
fact that they dislike him.
I don't think he'll even be talked about in years' time. I think he's one of those people because he's at a lighter weight class as well, and because he's getting out of the game at 33, and he hasn't fought all these legacy fighters that he's talked about and everything else. He's done these things. I personally don't have a problem with Henry Cejudo in any way, shape, or form. I think the King of Cringe character is funny.
It's
I don't care
great.
what anyone says. It's
It's a
funny. He
heel.
knows
He's a heel.
look, he knows what he's doing. He's not fucking stupid. He's very smart guy. Now, I'm seeing that people are fucking commenting on social media going, "Oh, he's leaving because he wants to have a family with his girlfriend." Yeah. So
Why not?
what? He's not got much brain damage. He's got in
Yeah.
and out of the game within 10 years.
He's
He's
been
been a champion in
competing.
two
He's
weight
been
classes.
competing since he's 11 years old.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a guy that went from chubby fucking whatever to completely ripped. He changed his whole lifestyle, changed his whole life, did everything that he could. And you're going to deny him. Chad Mendes retired at 31. No one fucking said a word. They were, oh, a great career, Chad. Didn't do anything. Triple C is literally a triple C, and people still hate on him. And it's
Yeah.
fucking mental to me how people don't understand what he's actually done in
Well,
this sport and the sport of wrestling and everything
he's
else before that.
beaten the flyweight goat,
Yeah,
Demetrius Johnson, the two greatest bantamweights of all time in TJ Dillashaw and Dominic Cruz. And not only did he beat them, he finished them.
yeah.
Like you could
Look,
say what you want about the Mighty Mouse fight, it was a close fight,
and an
but he
EPO
finished.
TJ Dillashaw as well.
Yeah, a juiced up
Yeah,
TJ Dillashaw, absolutely. He finished the two of them. That man deserves his flowers while he's here. And
definitely.
obviously he said it in the post press conference, and like I watched that, and to be honest with you, I gained a lot of respect from him because he said out straight what the King of Cringe was. He was like, it was a gimmick. I needed to do something to get eyes on my division,
And he did
and
it.
like it or not, it worked. But he
Hmm.
said that, like, obviously his family loves him, his friends love him. He said, I'm not that guy. He goes, if you knew me outside of this, you think that he's a good guy. It
Yeah,
is what it
yeah,
is. People take this shit so seriously.
I
It's
know, but
just
that's
fighting.
it's. No, but do you know what it is? I think it's just retards, Phil. They're everywhere, unfortunately, and it's
But
particularly
that's
you
it.
seem to see this. There's a certain few people on the internet that have big followings that are absolutely stupid, and they have the worst takes on fights and the UFC and MMA in general, and yet somehow people keep following. This is the problem; it becomes a crowd thing.
Well,
You know, crowds start
people like to
following.
follow stuff like that. People like to get
It's
annoyed. I
bullshit.
know you're a fiend for that. You like to follow things that annoy you.
No, 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 not so much anymore. I used to, not so much anymore. I
um,
kind of, I
but
let
look,
things go a bit more now.
yeah, but look, phenomenal performance by Henry Cejudo. We absolutely wish him the best in retirement. If he comes back, he said if the UFC give him an extra zero, he mightn't retire. So look, we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah,
But
fair enough.
let's just talk about Dominic Cruz and the stoppage. Okay,
Yeah. So
the
I'll
more
give
I've
my
watched
opinion,
this,
Phil. Let me just give them, and then you can go hog
all right,
wild, right? So
early stoppage.
I think in real time when I watched it,
Mm.
it seemed like an early stoppage.
Yeah,
When I look back on it at the replay,
yeah,
I'm not so sure. And I think the thing is, the
yeah,
referee was making the call to go in at the time that he did
yeah,
before Cruz started moving up. So you got to look at it in two ways. The referee was
yeah,
already making that decision, and things changed on that intersection of the ref coming in here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the time, you can't do anything about that.
yeah.
Is
I
it an early
agree.
stoppage? Maybe. But is it erring on the
The more I've
side of the
seen,
fighter safety? Yes.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The more I've seen of it in real time, watching it, I tweeted out, yeah, no, early stoppage. But then watch it again. He takes 11 unanswered punches to
Hmm.
the head. Now, those, like, it's a flurry of punches. They're not doing an awful lot of damage. The referee stepped in. The referee made a judgment call. But for Dominic Cruz to fucking say to Megan O'Leary that more often than not, uh, solid referee like Keith Peterson was smelling of alcohol and cigarettes. So what if the man smokes, first of all? But who is going to show up to a fucking, like,
Listen,
how is he going to get away with showing up to an event drunk? That is absolutely
first of
ridiculous.
all, he
And the
wouldn't.
respect, like, I lost it. Like, honestly, I really got a bad taste in my mouth with Dominic Cruz. And that being said, because remember when he lost to Cody Garbrandt and he gave a great speech at the end and he was like, why is this? Why would I be disappointed? This is life. And it was
Yeah,
great. But now he sounds like a petulant child moaning
yeah.
about a decision.
I think Dominic Cruz here has shown himself in a really bad light. Really, really
Horrible.
bad.
Like fair enough, you don't agree with the decision and you criticize the referee. That's absolutely fine. Do not slander somebody
No, yeah.
because you lost a fight. That's sick.
Especially an incredibly solid referee that Keith Peterson is as well.
Yeah.
A very good referee with a very good record and very good, whether you think he's a fucking alcoholic or fuck off, Cruz. It's not your choice to say what he does as a person or doesn't do.
And there's
I
no way
doubt,
he'd get away. There's no way he'd get away
yeah,
with smelling like
no
booze.
way you turn up to the commission, right? There's no way you turn up to the commission and the commission go, you fucking reek. Get out
Yeah.
of here, is
He
what
might
they
have had a
say.
he might have had a smoke on his break when he's not doing a fight, but that's
That's
that's on him.
that's his choice.
That's
That's
his
how he lives
choice.
his life. It
But
is what it is. But
to do that, that is such fucking condescending, petty shit, and I really have no time for that.
I
And
think
I'll leave it at that.
I think Cruz needs to. So for me, there's two sides to this. I think
Grow up.
he's looked like a right knob here and petulant and prickish, but at the same time, he's a high level athlete, very emotional, and I think when he sits back and thinks about this for a few days, he'll probably come round and change his opinion on things.
I
But
hope he does.
that
I
doesn't
hope he
help in the
does.
meantime, and what I do appreciate though is that the fans immediately set up a Keith Peterson parody page,
Yeah, I thought
and
it
have
was
put out,
real. Yeah, I put it on our
they've put
Instagram.
out they've put out some brilliant tweets already. So if you haven't seen that, go and look at it. But
Yeah.
basically, there's a bit where Cruz obviously fell back onto his back, and they said after a night on the booze and cigarettes, this is me. I mean, it's fucking phenomenal. And do you know what? I haven't actually heard from Keith Peterson yet, and I'm
I
it'd
don't
be
think he'll comment on it.
nah, but it would be.
He'll
I
probably
think it'd be
give like
good.
a "oh, Dominic's entitled to his opinion" type
Yeah,
answer. But
but it'd be good to see what he says because he's no nonsense.
look, I don't hate like don't take it as me saying, "Oh, fuck Dominic Cruz. I hate Dominic Cruz now." I enjoy Dominic Cruz as a fighter, and I enjoy his analysis and stuff like that. But that really, it's just a prickish thing to do. You should really apologize to Keith Peterson.
Oh,
But
it was very wanky, and I'm sure he will apologise in a few days, like I said. But for
yeah,
now, he's just been a bit of a bitch, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, look, we're gonna move on. We
Yeah.
talked about this being what it like, but can we just call Francis Ngannou Thanos?
Look, yeah, let's just call what this was in this
Well,
fight.
let
It
me
was a
just
murder.
intro. But like
It was
Francis
a,
Ngannou defeated Jairzinho Rosenstruck by KO 20 seconds into round number one. He killed him.
it says more when your intro is longer than the fight.
Yeah,
It's fuck me. Now, what I will say is, yes, he's a fucking destroyer. Yes, he's a fucking murderer. But my God, did he leave his chin up there? Did he have a lot of fundamental striking problems when he was winging in? But I
Ngannou
will say, yeah, it doesn't matter a
doesn't matter.
flying
Doesn't
shit.
matter.
Because as
Yeah.
soon as he hits you with that left hook, and it seems to be that left hook every single fucking time, it's money for him. It killed him. Rosenstruck, I was worried. He didn't move after that for quite some time.
If you
He
want
was
to
just
talk
lying on
about,
the floor.
look,
It was
if
violent.
we're gonna talk about referees making mistakes, I thought Dan Mergliato was so slow to the mark.
How can you not be
I
when
get it.
that guy
I
is?
get it, but and I know Mergliata was obviously trying to keep a bit of distance,
Yeah,
social distancing and all that.
no, he shouldn't be in there
But
if he wants to do that. But yeah,
but like I imagine they got guidelines to say kind of slightly away. But I don't know. I don't know to be honest. But
yeah.
Jorginho got 4 unanswered when he was limp, 4
he
unanswered shots.
yeah, he did. But what I would say about that is Dan Miragliotta, first of all, is also a big man. Takes him a while to get in there. He should he should have been closer to the action.
Fair.
For one, his positioning is always off. I find with ending sequences of fights, it's an unfortunate thing with him. He makes the right decisions. It just takes him longer to get there. It's fucking it's
I just
crazy.
don't think he was expecting that.
No, and
Yeah.
well, I mean, would you?
No,
Like, even though you know what Francis Ngannou is going to do, you don't expect to see a murder that quickly,
it was
especially
insane.
against a seasoned kickboxer like Jairzinho. It's wow, is all I can say about that fight. Now
Yeah,
the
you
thing is,
can't
as well,
say
the last 4 opponents that Ngannou has had, he has ended them in a combined 2 minutes 42 seconds.
insane.
That's combined. I
That's
mean,
insane.
what we
But
have here is a true, just an animal of a guy, just a complete beast.
he's
He's a
special.
one of a kind
He's
talent.
special, and
Yeah.
like if he can just get the other parts of his game, his takedown defense, just get it and just become a beast at
Listen,
stuff and takedowns.
all he needs, yeah,
We have a new champion.
that's the thing. All he needs to do is learn to stuff. He needs to get in the
He
gym
doesn't
and
even need to
beat
learn how
people.
to wrestle. He just needs to
No,
learn how to stuff them.
stuff
Just
the
become.
takedown. Yeah,
Just stuff
that's
them.
it.
Just
And
jump on it.
learn.
Just jump on his back.
He needs to learn 2 things: stuffing takedowns and dealing with wrestling on the fence. That's it. Those are 2 things. The rest of it, who gives a shit? Because he may leave his chin up, he may do whatever, but if you get hit, you're going out. Not him.
Yeah.
You're going out. And
But for it was
yeah, I
great.
mean, fuck me, great
It
fight.
was great to see the picture from backstage with the 2 of them and seeing obviously Jairzinho looking
Yeah, he's
well.
actually okay.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, yeah, God, he's gonna have some headache for a few days. But for your first loss, what a way to lose.
So, I mean, I assume you agree with me here, Phil, that the only next thing for Ngannou is title shot.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
Because
where else is he going to go?
well, DC came out today and said he's done waiting for Stipe,
Yeah, well, that's not
which
fair
is fair.
because,
Which I
listen,
don't know. I don't know. I don't like. I
listen,
obviously I wouldn't mind seeing that fight again. But if
Stipe,
DC,
hang
I
on,
think DC is 41.
Stipe is a first responder. First and
Oh
foremost,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's his job,
Of
right?
course,
It's
of course.
whether or not
No,
he's a
I'm not. I'm
champion.
not. I'm not. I'm not criticizing Stipe at all. I'm just saying this is what DC
Yeah,
said.
but I look, DC doesn't want to fight Stipe again. In my eyes, he's kind of been there, done that. He just wants the title. So the reality is, if he has to fight Ngannou to get the title, that is, in most people's eyes, a gimme for Daniel Cormier because his wrestling's so strong compared to Ngannou. But is that going to be for an interim title, which means that he then faces Stipe anyway? So what's the fucking point here, Cormier? Which one are you waiting for? It's, do you want the
Yeah,
interim? Do you want the real? Do you want it? What is it?
I
Do
kind
you
of
want,
if you have like one eye on retirement, I think. I
that's the thing. He
look.
was supposed to have retired already, and
I
he's
wouldn't
still.
be. Yeah, like if Stipe and Cormier never happens again, I don't mind.
Oh no,
Cormier is a legend and he's a great commentator.
yeah. I like Cormier, but I just he's starting to play the game a little bit more again now. Is he? I suppose it's because of his age. He doesn't need to fight so many people. He's
No,
got money. He's successful in other avenues. I get it. He doesn't need to do anything, but if him versus Ngannou, I hope to God that he gets in that takedown before that left hook comes flying out because good night, Cormier.
it's such a horrible fight for Ngannou.
Oh, it
Like if
really is. Him and Stipe are 2 horrible people to fight for him, and
yeah,
unfortunately, they're the top of the division. So,
but
it's what it is.
definitely, if Stipe Cormier doesn't go ahead, it has to be Ngannou Stipe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but look,
100%.
we'll move on to another absolute barn burner of a
Oh,
fight. Amazing. Calvin
oh,
Guitar defeated Jeremy Stevens by KO round number 2, 2 minutes and 42 seconds. I'll let you go.
I mean, so this fight,
Talk to me. Talk to me.
first of all, the finish was
Insane.
just beautiful, beautiful boxing from Calvin Guitar. The guy, I don't really know how to fucking, I think it was a straight right or something that came down the pipe.
Yeah.
and he set it up with body work, and he was moving up and down, doing whatever. It took him a round or two to kind of get into it.
He's such a slow starter. It's so frustrating, but when he gets going, he's phenomenal. Even that elbow at the end, that elbow
I
on the
know.
bottom that put a dent in, like nearly took, like you could nearly see what
Oh, it was
Jeremy Stevens was thinking.
it was brutal. I mean, the thing is, he hit him with. So I didn't realize until the replay that Qatar hit him with a right elbow that put him down. It was the elbow that put him down.
Yeah,
I didn't
perfect.
realize because it was just this fucking. They were just going combo for combo at this point, and that's what was beautiful about this fight. They would both go out of range, step back into the phone box, just trade for a couple of minutes, and then come back out. It was beautiful to watch. But that right elbow,
Yeah,
obviously, he'd seen something in Stevens leaving his guard down on that side, but he knew he was too close in to get a hook on, so he just adjusted. He was already hitting him with the right hands over and over again. Then he hit him with that elbow. He went down, followed it up with more elbows, cut Stevens when he was elbowing him on the ground. It was just, and Stevens was out, fully gone. I don't know whether they called it a TKO or a KO at this point, but it was definitely a KO.
yeah.
And I mean,
Well,
Qatar
obviously,
for me, I just want to say, I've
he's
talked
just
about
on
him
the
for a
up and
while on
up.
this pod. I've talked about him for a little while. He's the underdog. He's the dark horse in that division.
Well,
And
look, what this fight made me want to. I just want to see him fight Sabit again because when he got going against Sabit,
five
he
rounds,
was, he was, he was,
he was going
you
to win
know,
that fight.
yeah.
I think the thing
I
is, he
agree.
won 7 minutes out of a 15-minute fight,
Yeah,
and it's so hard to. Zabit for me is a guy that hasn't got the same talent as Qatar overall. Yes, he's flashy, he is what he is, but he's not the grinder that Calvin is. And Calvin will get in from Monday to fucking Sunday and do every single workout. And I think Zabit's more of a, I'll see when I get there.
well, obviously we're going to see Qatar. He's 21-4 now. He's going to obviously jump over Jeremy Stevens. I think Qatar was number 9,
Yeah, I think
and
Stevens was
Stevens was
6.
seven.
Oh,
Seven.
7. So.
So, like, who would you want to see Qatar fight next? Would you want them to run it back with Zabit? Like, that's what I want.
I would, yeah. To be honest with you, but I mean, looking at those rankings, one fight that does interest me with him a lot is the Korean Zombie.
Oh God, yeah.
That
Oh.
is because if they did that five rounds with those two,
But is he
wow,
a fight? Is he one fight away from that though? Do you
Well,
think
this is the
maybe
thing.
just
I
one
don't
more
know.
fight?
I don't know because look, he's just knocked out a guy that is notoriously difficult to knock out. I mean, yes, he's getting older. Yes, that's his 4th loss on the trot. But he was decisioned by Zabit and only TKO'd by Jose Aldo. Qatar fucking killed him. It was another murder in there. And I
Yeah.
think Qatar, he's at the point now, he's another guy where it's all just coming together. 25 fights, 10 years in the game, everything's just,
And he was late. He was late to MMA.
yeah,
Everything is.
yeah, yeah.
But he was
So
late. He was late to the game. He's
he was
32. So
32 now, but
in terms of miles on the clock, like he's still a young fighter.
yeah, and he's obviously a very good athlete as well. Though, is he down at Rufus Sport? I think he's with Duke Rufus. Am I right or am I fucking wrong about that?
I'm not too
I know
sure
he's a
to be honest
Boston
with you.
kid. I know he's Boston, but who fucking knows? But yeah, I mean, Korean Zombie's a fight I want to see. If
I
Brian
mean,
Ortega, so for me, it's whether
yeah,
he
Brian.
goes
Yeah,
straight
that
up.
that was one
Brian
actually was in the
Ortega's
back
another
of my
one.
mind.
I
Brian
think
Ortega. Yeah.
I don't want to see Frankie Edgar fight ever again, um,
Mm.
just for numerous reasons. But
Or if he's gonna fight Stevens or something and just have a cracking fight.
yeah, I mean, look, Stevens. Where does Stevens go? Then more importantly, Qatar's only going.
I think no, I keep Stevens just because Stevens just
Yeah,
never has a boring fight. I think he should, like, the fact for his entertainment value, he just needs to be rewarded
I
for that.
don't think he's going. But do you think maybe for someone like Stevens though now? This is where a move to somewhere like Bellator is a really good kind of option for him. More money, more exposure, more everything. It will be basically the Stevens show in that.
Imagine Stevens versus AJ McKee. That'd be a good fight.
Phenomenal. Imagine Stevens versus fucking Michael Chandler.
Oh yeah. Well, that's if Michael Chandler obviously stays
Yeah,
with
I mean,
Bellator.
we
But
talked about it last week, but
yeah,
it's imagine that I think there's so much more out there for Jeremy Stevens on the world stage now because they've got these options. They got one championship, they got Rising, they've got Bellator, and they're still getting paid. Well, they're getting paid in
I
UFC,
think
but
he's a good situation. I think Dana does take
yeah.
care of Jeremy Stevens, so I can't see him leaving
Oh, I
anytime
think he
soon.
does as well because he's another guy that's 2 fights away from being released or 2 fights from a title shot. He's the same fucking guy that we talked about before.
Yeah,
Who was last week that we were talking about that? He's that guy as well, and it's a shame. It's a shame that his
yeah.
career never really went further than it did, but is what it is.
But look, we'll move on. And we're talking about one fighter who's improving. We're like moving on to another fighter who is improving uh, like significantly. Greg Hardy defeated Jorgen De Castro by unanimous decision, 30-27 on all three judges' scorecards. Now we picked the other way,
Yeah,
but Hardy fought a really good game plan. Was solid.
yeah. He looked a lot better overall. Overall, his footwork, his head movement, his striking was more concise and compact.
Yeah,
He wasn't leaning into everything and lurching in and doing whatever. He looked in shape. He went the
yeah.
full 3 rounds. He didn't look fat. He looked in really good shape, considering
Yeah.
he's 265 or whatever to get down there. He looked great, and this is the difference between a supreme athlete
Well,
and
that's it.
a
Well, that's
guy
it.
who just turns up.
Obviously, from just years of football and just being drilled by coaches and stuff like that, when somebody tells him to do something, it's just in his brain. Like he even said it, he could hear Cormier's commentary and he wasn't checking the leg kick. He heard Cormier was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Hardy's
yeah,
not checking the leg kick. He checked the leg kick and he broke De Castro's foot,
yeah.
which was unfortunate for De Castro. It took away from him a lot. I think he broke both of his hands
Yeah,
as
so
well.
De Castro, I think, won the first round in my
Oh
eyes,
yeah, yeah, he did.
and then he broke his foot in that round when
He couldn't.
at the end of that round,
He couldn't
he
do
couldn't
anything.
he couldn't launch off his foot. And obviously, people don't understand striking. Everything's from your feet. People think it's all from your arms. It's not. It's from your from your hips, your core, your feet. And if you damage one of them, it's brutal.
But
It does not help you.
What De Castro did in the first round to Hardy's leg was vicious. Like
Yeah, well,
you could see the pop straight away was taken out of Hardy's
it
punches. Like
was horrible.
he could barely turn. Uh,
But
but
again, fair play to Hardy there because he took that beating and kept coming forward no matter
yeah,
what. And he looked gingerly on his foot, but he kept doing it. And fair play to him.
and
Now, look, I know
yeah,
people hate Greg Hardy, but we're
yeah,
seeing the
it
real,
it's a bitter pill to
construction of a
swallow
monster.
because obviously yeah, his past and stuff we don't condone it and he's done in his past, but you have to give credit where credit's due. He's an improving fighter and he's going to be around.
I think he's going to be around for a good few years. And I think,
Yeah.
when we're ready, we'll see Ngannou murder him. But until
Oh
then,
yeah, yeah. He's like, it's gonna be rough for him when he gets up there. But
and do you know what? People can say what they want. He's been thrown into the fire, Greg Hardy.
mm,
There's not a lot of people that accept the pressure that he's taken on with his past, with the opponents they've given him, with everything they've done. He's been tested at every venture. And do you know what? He keeps coming out of the test pretty well. And yeah, I think people need to now give him a little bit of a chance and let him evolve as a fighter and see what happens.
yeah, people still listen to Chris Brown's music. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's true. And he went ham. He went
yeah,
fucking ham. But yeah,
he still makes jams, but he's still a prick for hitting
oh,
a
he's a
woman. You
fucking
know what I mean?
arsehole.
But look, we'll move on. So yeah, a very interesting fight. But Anthony Pettis defeated Donald
Anti-defeat. Yeah,
Cerrone
okay.
by unanimous decision. All three judges had a 29-28. I know you saw it differently. To be honest, if I didn't have money on this fight, I'd probably admit it that Pettis lost this fight. But it could have
Yeah.
went to anyone. It could have went to anyone.
So for
I
me,
think the unanimous decision was harsh.
I think Cerrone won the first round, hands
Yeah,
down. I think
yeah,
Cerrone, he not only outstruck him by a couple of shots, but he also mixed up his strikes better. He just looked different and also got a takedown at the end. It's a point
yeah.
scorer. People can say what they want. It's a point fucking scorer. Second round, I think they were only, again, 2 strikes apart throughout the whole thing in that second round. I think
I
Pettis did.
thought I thought yeah, I thought Cerrone kept coming forward. He was very stagnant, though. I thought Pettis started to kind of find his range and started to pick him off.
He
The
did,
third,
but then he took him down again, and that's where my argument. It's all well and good him starting to ramp up, but in
I
point
would have,
scoring terms,
yeah, true. No, look, I heard this was a very close fight. If it went to Cerrone, obviously I wouldn't have been happy because I had money
yeah,
on it. But
yeah,
look, I edged the second round to Pettis. The third round I thought was the most debatable. It was so close,
yeah.
and I felt like obviously there was an unintentional eye poke, and I think that's what gave Pettis the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really that. So for me, the way that I looked at it when I was scoring these rounds, it was like, okay, round one Cerrone, and then the next two were draws, and that's how I saw those last two rounds. I didn't see anyone take those rounds or win them. In honesty, if I had to on a point scoring system, I would say Cerrone round two, and then the third round again 10-10, because on a point system, that's how it works. But it really, I don't know, it
Look,
bothers me when they say,
I know when we talked about this, and you were like, "Care, do it. I'm not bothered."
yeah,
We were like,
I'm
because it
not.
was enough to fight. But to be honest, I loved it. Like I enjoyed this fight a
Yeah,
lot.
I enjoyed the fight. It was good, but
Yeah,
look, it puts Cerrone on a 4-fight losing streak now. He doesn't deserve that losing streak. I don't think. I think that should have been, if anything, that's a majority draw. That fight, if anything,
yeah,
that because no
that's
one
fair.
really won. No one really took anything away from anyone. No one damaged anybody. Nobody did anything different. And this goes to show to me. And what annoyed me about this wasn't the fight itself. What annoyed me about this was, and in an arena where there's no fans, the commentators were looking for bias towards Anthony Pettis throughout that entire fight. Oh, he's just hitting him a bit harder. There's more zip on this. There's more on that. The
Yeah,
judges can hear all this, and I know that their job is to do that. But when you're constantly favouring one person over another, that's the way it's going to go. The judges don't know as much as the commentators about the sport, and yet the commentators are leading people down a path that isn't right. And I think that is maybe what happened with that fight. They were swayed by listening to other people on the outside, but I don't know. I
look,
wasn't there.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I think a majority draft is fair enough. But I hope I hope this fight gives Pettis a bit of confidence because second round he looked great up until the takedown.
Yeah, he looked good
So
at the beginning of the third. He looked very good. I thought at the
yeah,
beginning
I
of
want to
the
I
third.
want to see I want to see Pettis go again if he just can get confidence again. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean, can we shout out though that Donald Cerrone, that was his 35th fight in the UFC.
he'll fight again. Like
But that was his 35th fight in the UFC, and he's only been there 10 years. It's absolutely insane what that guy's
he
done.
doesn't give a shit. He'll fight anyone.
Yeah, he's a fucking legend.
Yeah, two of them are legends. I enjoyed it a lot. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll leave it at that. Next fight, Alexei Olenek defeated Fabricio Werdum by split decision. Yeah, one judge
So
had
let's just say what
29.
this was. It was atrocious, and it was hard to get through. Let's
Well,
just put it.
well, I tweeted out it was like two L lads fighting over the sun lounges in Benidorm.
It really fucking was, and it was just.
I'd be
I don't even.
towel on it, you bastard.
I think the result was right. I don't have anything more to say about it. Verdum looked awful. He looked out of shape. He looked like he didn't give a shit. He looked like he was fulfilling contractual obligations, so he was free soon. It was
Wanna,
just terrible.
Olenek made his debut was 1997. Bill Clinton was president.
Legend.
So when he was making his debut, they were bringing Monica Lewinsky's dress to the dry cleaners.
Listen, yeah, but more importantly, he's still beating people since 1997, and he's beating
Yeah.
world-class jiu-jitsu guys at
Well,
their own game.
listen to it. Listen to his
Jizz
record.
on a dress or not, it is what it is.
He's 59 wins, 13 losses, one draw.
Unbelievable.
Fair
Unbelievable.
play to him. Fair play
Yeah,
to him.
absolutely. I mean,
Did you
those
see him?
records are not easy to come by.
Did you see him on the breaks? He was lying on the ground.
Yeah.
lying
Just
on
getting.
the
Do you know what though? Whatever it was working for him.
Yeah.
Because also he came back to the corner, didn't he? And his corner were like, "Are you going to be sick?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got the fight." So I think his camp must have been really short and shit and whatever, and
Yeah.
he did what he had to get
I
through.
must
But
say, I
that
don't
was
want to.
awful, Phil.
If
Awful.
yeah, if I never saw any of them fight again, I wouldn't be
No,
too
I wouldn't be
bothered.
upset.
But look, we move on.
Speaking of that, speaking of never watching people
Speaking of
fight
that,
again.
yeah, well, Carla Esparza defeated Michelle Watterson by split
What?
decision. One thing, two judges had a 30-27. How? Michelle Watterson won that fight just for the fact that she was actually trying to do
Listen,
something.
I think there's a real problem with judging in MMA. I know that's
It was
unusual for
bad.
anyone to say here, Phil, but terrible judging, terrible fight. Never want to see that again either. Never want to
Yeah, it
see
was really bad.
why Wharton didn't step on the gas more though when Esparza wasn't doing it. I don't get it. She was stalling at the same time as coming forward. It was fucking mental. I don't even want to give this fight time because it wasn't worth anything. It didn't change anything in the rankings. It didn't change anything in the fucking landscape of the thing. It just shows us bad judging again. It shows us bad fighters again. People not taking the fucking step up and all this kind of. I don't want to fucking. They can fuck off. It was terrible. Fuck you for
Well,
wasting my time. I fell asleep during that fight, Phil. That's legitimately true. Fell asleep because it was that bad.
look, I watched it because one of us does. But yeah, Michelle won that
Awful.
fight. That Michelle won that fight. Enough said. It wasn't a great fight. We'll move on to a great
Next.
fight. Vicente Luque defeated Nico Price by
Jesus Christ.
TKO. The most beautiful check hook I've seen in
Oh,
some time. 3 minutes and 37 seconds of round number 3. But this fight was just violence. And it was
it was.
amazing.
It was. I mean, are we going to call this fight of the night?
No, I
I
can't.
just
I think I can. I cannot give fight of the night to Gaethje and Tony.
see. The thing is, if it wasn't the grandeur of that main event, I think I would probably call this fight of the night, just because of
Yeah,
how
it's
back and forth it
unfortunate.
was.
It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
unbelievable fight. I mean, the ending. It's kind of. It was so late that night. I'm kind of in and out of what actually really happened, but I know Luque obviously destroyed him. Like I say, beautiful check hook at
But
the end
look,
and did it. And
in the
Nico Price
first
at the
the
end.
first round, Price was phenomenal. He was
Yeah.
pushing Luque back. Luque couldn't get anything really going. He was landing push kicks, all sorts, pushing the pace. Second round, it was kind of similar. And eventually, just Luque started to take over, and it was just pure technique.
I mean, I would say from about towards the end of the first round and second round, Luque took over,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
and Price, he's always game. We talked
I
about this
think he got a
before.
bit. I think Price got a bit tired.
Yeah, I think there's a few conditioning things that we saw at this event, which it can't be helped. It literally can't be helped in the way that this event was put together and everything went on. Fuck it, I couldn't give a shit. But do you know what? Price for everything, the same as Tony Ferguson. Even taking that beating, just stuck it out and stuck it out until he couldn't go anymore. And Price looked like a fucking mess. He was still screaming with happiness at the end of the fight. The guy is a fucking legend. That
His
fight was
face at the
amazing.
end, yeah, was
Yeah,
fucking.
it's fucking bad. But look, that's what you want to see, and that is not the fight that for me. Greg Hardy and De Castro should have been in their spot, and they should have been the first fight on the main card.
Yeah,
The way that was set out was fucking crazy to me. That Luque fight and Price, they deserved, in my eyes, a bonus, regardless of whether they get the award or not. Both guys put it on the line. Both guys came to kill, and it was kill or be killed. And eventually, Price was killed, and Luque was the killer. But just a great fight, and both respect for each other. Huge respect from each other towards one another. It was what you want to see in fighting. And then we had those two shitters straight after. It was unbelievable. But what a fight! What a fight! And Luque deserved his victory wholeheartedly.
yeah, 100%. But look, um, we'll move on to the next one, which again, phenomenal. If you're into grappling, this is
Wow.
your wet. This fight was your wet dream.
Wow.
Bryce Mitchell defeated Charles Rosa by unanimous decision. 30-25,
Wow.
30-25, and 30-24 on all judges' scorecards. I even said the first round like 10-6.
I think it was a 10-7, quite legitimately that first round. It
Yeah.
was just a domination from start to finish in that. But let's talk about. I mean, look, Charles Rosa, game opponent, did what he could, tried his best, but Bryce Mitchell is different fucking level on the ground. And
He's
he's different
amazing.
level for MMA as well. So there's a difference in jiu-jitsu with MMA and gi, and this whole fucking thing. There's a huge difference. That guy knows what he's good at. He knows how good he is at it. And
Yeah.
while his striking is, well, we'll just say it's subpar, it doesn't fucking matter.
But
It
it's
does.
enough. It's like Khabib. It's enough to get him in a position where he can get you down. And
Yeah,
once he gets you down, you're finished. Doesn't matter who you are.
I mean, who has seen a guy set up a
Five,
twister like that over and over again?
five. What was it? 7 twister attempts.
I think
5.
so, yeah. And fair play to Rosa for defending these and doing it. And I
Look,
think there was a few areas where Rosa should have gone out and should have tapped and should have done it, but he just didn't. And I can't do anything but respect him for it.
yeah.
Unreal.
Defensively, Rose, I'd be severely underappreciated the fact that he survived that. But Bryce Mitchell is a problem. I even straight away I put out. I was just like, Ryan Hall, Bryce Mitchell, do it.
Oh,
Do it.
imagine. It'd be the happiest moment of my entire life.
Like we even said, remember we said in the build up, well, I was just like, this should be something that's on Submission Underground, and
yeah,
it pretty much was.
and yeah, it should have been, and I think we'd have seen the same result regardless on Submission Underground. But Bryce Mitchell for me is he's the guy. He's 25. He's beating guys like Charles Rosa, and people can go, "Oh yeah, well Charles Rosa is tough to put.
He's
tough.
solid,
a very good fighter." But what I'm saying,
and even did you hear it?
The casual will.
True, yeah. But you heard into Charles Rosa basically was just like stand up, just trying to get out of it. Hey, all you hear is Bryce Mitchell. The fuck do you say?
I'm not gonna fucking stand up. Fuck you.
He's just on top of him with a big redneck accent. What the fuck did you say?
But the thing is, Rosa, I can get it. He's desperate. At that point, he's done nothing for 13 and a half minutes.
He was just like, I need to get this fella mad.
He's trying to rile him. He's trying to piss him off. He's trying to do whatever.
But one thing, Bryce Mitchell, get him his camouflage shorts.
I think they're going to now. I think
Dana was just like, what's he want? Camouflage? Right, he's got them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy, Bryce Mitchell, again, that was a decision in that fight, right? But he always comes to end it. And he does win a lot of decision fights, but he's always looking for the finish. And that's what I like about him. He doesn't sit back and rest on his laurels. He wants to go in there, put on a show. And look, his cardio is clearly off the fucking chain because he didn't even look tired after just. It was like watching a dad with his kid ragging around and do whatever, and he wasn't even.
Well, that's what Rogan was saying a lot, wasn't he? He kept kind of hammering at home about the strength and conditioning program that Bryce Mitchell does for his camps.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Rogan says all this
for
shit.
That. Yeah, but it kind of, you can see why he's saying it, because for that level of aggressiveness in his grappling, he has to be fit as a fiddle, man.
Listen, striking's hard. Striking is, and it's explosive, and it is what it is. But when you are body on body and moving each other around and doing it, it's so
different
tough.
game, different grade.
You're moving another person's exact same weight as you, so you're moving your own body weight around. It's exhausting. It's tiring. And Bryce Mitchell does it better than anyone. I love that kid. I'm excited.
I want to see him fight every week, honestly.
Yeah. And I think he could. But he doesn't get damaged.
No, doesn't get damaged. Clearly doesn't get tired. But look,
Last fight, Philip.
Wait, hold on. Can I just say? Yeah, obviously I want Ryan Hall and Bryce Mitchell, but Arnold Allen.
Yeah, Arnold Allen's one of those guys.
Bryce Mitchell would destroy Arnold Allen.
Oh, it wouldn't even be funny. I think
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
I think there's not many people apart from Ryan Hall in that division who could deal with Bryce Mitchell's.
Yeah. Ryan Hall, do it.
Yeah, I just think the thing is Ryan Hall now, he's got a lot higher ranking, hasn't he? So he's kind of where is Ryan Hall now? Oh, 14.
No, he's right. He's right around Bryce Mitchell territory. That's a
I
that's a
thought he was
fight.
higher than that.
That's a fight that makes sense. Do it.
Yeah, I think look, I'm looking at this division now, and we're talking about Cater earlier, and we're talking about Stevens and all this kind of shit. The fighters in that division, Rodriguez, the Korean Zombie, Zabit, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway. This is even before the champion. You got Jose Aldo at number 11, Shane Burgos at
Well, that's
it's
if
an
Aldo obviously
insane.
fights again at
Yeah,
145.
look,
Yeah.
it's an insane division, and Bryce Mitchell. If they do him and Ryan Hall now, it's a mistake, I think, because
Yeah, but this
I
is
want
just
to see
me
those
being.
guys.
This is
I
just
know,
me. Like, give me it.
I know, but it's a mistake. It's a mistake. We want to see that later on down the line. We want to see these guys beat top contenders before they get to each other. And I think, and then
100%.
if they don't beat those top contenders and they're in the let them fight then as well.
Yeah.
If they stay in the bottom, just under the top 10, let them go
But
for it.
then
Then
here, what's Arnold Allen?
he's 13, I think.
Well,
So
then do it. Yeah,
no,
give him
Arnold
that.
Allen's 12. So yeah,
Yeah, but he's higher than Ryan Hall. So,
or Sadiq Youssef as well. Or Sadiq Youssef. Give him
well, that
someone like that.
Jesus. I think I'd take Bryce Mitchell in that fight, but if Sadiq Youssef
I
catches him,
know, but this is the problem. It's so stacked, that division. You don't want to see anyone beat anyone else because
yeah,
Arnold Allen's a great English talent. Sadiq Youssef is a fucking murderer as well. Shane Burgos is coming up and he's starting to fucking murder people. Then you
I
got
think he's
Cater,
a.
but
What is Bryce Mitchell currently ranked, or is he?
he's not ranked.
He's not ranked.
He's not in the top 15.
I think Burgos is a little bit too high for him in
Well, he's
terms of
10th.
matchmaking.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's what I
I
mean.
think
You
it's
could give
one
him any of
fight
the
and
top.
then maybe Burgos.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him someone in the top 15 and then top 10 and move him up like that. Top 15, top 10, top 5 and just keep building him. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to keep him down for long. The kid's got so
Yeah,
much energy, he just wants in there every weekend, and I think this is the time to capitalize for him because in jiu-jitsu, you get so many injuries that eventually when you reach early 30s, you're going to be struggling to fucking walk into the fucking gym.
that is true. Yeah, well, look, hopefully he doesn't like knock on wood get
Yeah,
any injuries or anything like that, and we see him
yeah.
as
Doesn't
soon as
lose balls
possible.
like again. Yeah.
But we'll move on to the we'll move on to the fight that kicked off the early prelims.
Is
That
there
was
any point?
it was okay. Ryan Spann defeated Sam Alvey by split decision. So 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. We kind of seen Spann really trying to rush a knockout in the first round. He kind of tired from then on, and it was just a case of he'd done enough to kind of take the victory. I know why you don't like Sam Alvey. Do you know why?
Why?
Because you look like him. And remember when you were trying to fight, you were doing your fatty to fighter thing,
Hmm.
and I think subconsciously you're like, oh no, if I actually do fight, that's what I'm going to look like.
No, you see, I don't accept that, Phil, and I think that's rather mean. Although he does have an impressively good-looking missus, so fair enough. But look, it's not that I dislike him for any other reason other than that he's a bad fighter.
He's a game fighter, but yeah, he's not
Yeah,
the most
but bad. Game, but
what I
bad.
would say is I knew Ryan Spann was going to take this, but this fight just made me. I'm never ever putting money on Ryan Spann in my
No,
life.
he looked dreadful. That is the thing about Sam Alvey. Is he'll always make it a dogfight no matter what. He does.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of heart and he does what he needs to do. But I just don't like watching him fight because I know it's a foregone conclusion really at the end of it. And yeah, he came back swinging in the third and tried his best to do what he could, but too
yeah,
little, too late. It's always the case with him. It's always too little, too late. There's no urgency from him. He's lost 4 in a row now. He doesn't deserve a spot really in that division.
yeah. Well, he's probably to be honest, it could be one of those fighters who was on the chopping block. But I suppose we'll see what happens. They'll probably give him another one.
Well, we'll see, but fucking hope not.
Yeah. But anyway, that has been.
It's been a full crack.
That's been the crack. That was UFC 249. Is there anything else in the MMA world that you want to bring up?
I mean, the only other thing we can really mention is GSP.
Jesus Christ,
I
yeah.
mean, it was
God, I
announced that he's
forgot
going
all
to be,
about
yeah,
that. Yeah.
he's going to be announced that he's in the Hall of Fame, and I think it's a bit late. I think he could have gone into the Hall of
To be
Fame
honest,
5, 6 years ago.
like I thought
Yeah,
he was in it. I thought it was in it
yeah, well, you
already.
would,
Like,
yeah, you would have thought that he'd be in there. You'd think that he's a Mount Rushmore guy. You know, he's there. He's when you talk about guys
arguably,
that built the sport and did whatever,
yeah.
he's there.
But like
And
for a lot of people, he's their greatest of all time.
yeah, and him and Anderson Silva have basically been the two that we talked about, and
For
they were
me,
the era that
for
changed
me, it's
everything.
Anderson. For me, it's Anderson Silva in terms of
Yeah,
skill. But
in
yeah,
terms of
Jesus.
skill
But
and opponents and everything
GSP,
else.
like just going through his record, like you know, he defeated Carlos Condit when Carlos Condit was Carlos Condit.
Yeah,
Nick Diaz as well. Nick Diaz coming straight in was a murderer.
yeah.
Um, like BJ Penn, he fought the best of the best.
Johnny Hendricks,
Yeah,
uh,
he.
Josh, what's his name?
I won't bring it up, but like
Josh Koscheck when he was
he,
good. Thiago
I don't
Alves.
think he beat Johnny. I don't think he beat Johnny Hendricks, but he won.
I mean, look, he won,
It
and
is,
that's all.
yeah. It is what it is. But
Essentially,
that was a crazy fight.
he beat Thiago Alves. He
Yeah.
demolished Dan Hardy. These are all fighters that people forget how good they actually were because now they're all on the downturn and the slide.
Well,
But it was all from then.
even the fights he lost, he wrote his wrongs. Like he corrected his wrongs. He beat Matt
Yeah,
Hughes again, beat him twice, and he beat Matt Serra again. Like after losing, and the Matt Serra loss shocked the world, obviously.
yeah.
Um, but he's an absolute legend, and I was shocked that he was only getting put into the Hall of Fame now. I
I
could have
know.
sworn he was in there already.
You would have thought, wouldn't you? And and then he comes back and he fights a couple of years ago after 4 years out, beats Michael Bisping, wins the title, fucks off again. But
Yeah,
this is a guy that it's unbelievable. It beat Jake Shields without any issues. Dan Hardy, Thiago Alves, Josh Koscheck, BJ Penn, John Fitch, Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, Sean Shirk, you name it. He's every name that you could have put in front of him at that time. He
like
beat.
the the fact he won, he beat Bisbin, like, and then just was like, oh yeah, I'm off again. Goodbye, I am off
See,
again. See you
it's nice to see
later.
you all there.
Yeah, I am not
Screwed up a
impressed.
division.
I am not impressed by your championship.
Oh, I mean, look, will that ever be forgotten? I'm not impressed by your performance.
Yeah,
And then comes in and demolishes Matt Hughes in the next fight. It's fucking the guy was unbelievable. Yeah, he took his lumps. He lost. He lost to Matt Serra, which was crazy. You know, it was whatever. But he was just unbelievable. And talk about athletes in an era when it was just a lot of fighters and not athletes. The guy changed the way that people trained, the way that people did. He really, maximized it as a professional sport.
and the fact that like he didn't, like, obviously the sports changed, and
Yeah,
now there's a lot more kind of showmanship to it and a lot more trash talking and stuff like that, which we love. But he was just pure honor, respect, and
a real
he was
martial artist.
just a
Yeah,
good just a good person. Like,
yeah,
um,
and
but
just
yeah,
sucking
no,
dick everywhere apparently. But
probably, yeah, but like,
there's no
would you
problem
blame?
there. No, can't.
And
Good-looking kid in shape. Got the old French accent. Come on.
kick your head off, yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna do well.
yeah. But
But yeah,
look,
fuck me.
he's a
That's it,
legend.
Phil.
He's a legend. That's all we can say. Shout out to George St. Pierre.
It's to be
But
our yeah.
yeah, but will we get out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here, Philip.
Right, so we do the socials. Sam, as always, Twitter is MMA Big Fella. Instagram is Fatty the Fighter. I am Phil Dre _ Twitter and Instagram, and we are at WITC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and www.facebook.com/whatisthecrackpod. That has been episode 31 of the podcast, which we will have in video, please God,
Yeah, let's
hopefully.
hope. Let's hope.
Look, as always, stay safe, keep your hands clean, keep your ass clean. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. All the best.
See you later, Phil.